We have found 37 locations that are going to be in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and in this video we're going to have a look at all of them, including its 2 or 3 main cities, hoping that the recent delay announcement doesn't mean any of them could be cut. In the video we're going to discuss the most recent news about the game world, its map, and how it is organized, before moving on to chart all these locations on the map, organize them in categories, show the official references that have already been released, and in general have a better idea of the historical and natural locations that we're going to see in the game. So let's not wait any longer and let's dive into the map and the locations of Assassin's Creed Shadows. So, as you surely know by now, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed for 3 months. Its new release date is going to be February the 14th, 2025, with the main statement saying that devs need more time to polish the game and to push further some of the key features, and a different press release mentioning instead that the game is feature complete. Of course, this delay brought many disruptions to what was planned for Shadows, such as marketing content being cancelled and leaked, the previews for the games being supposedly cancelled, the hands-on for players also being cancelled at different events, the various pre-orders for the editions of the game also being cancelled, though that's still a hazy topic at the moment, the game now being available to everybody on February the 14th, so no 3 days in advance anymore, a new leak about a potential co-op experience for Shadows releasing post-launch, new pre-orders allowing to get the first expansion of the game for free, and Shadows being the first new Ubisoft game to be back on Steam on day 1. So you can imagine, after all of this turmoil, both the news and information about the map of the game and the game world in general we had prepared for this video in the last few weeks might not be 100% accurate anymore. Though everything we are discussing today comes from official information, save from a theory or two, so finger crossed nothing we're going to discuss is going to be axed in the next few months. So let's talk about the map of the game. We do know that the map covers the central area of Japan, more specifically the Kansai region, which is made up of the provinces where Oda Nobunaga organized his strongholds and the unification of the country. In terms of size, as it was mentioned multiple times in the past, the region is similar to the map in Assassin's Creed Origins' Egyptian map, although it's based on a more realistic scale ratio, which means we're going to see environments that feel more realistic, like huge mountains that take longer to climb, and forests almost on a 1-to-1 scale, with trees of a certain size to make them more believable. In line with the idea of having a more realistic scale ratio, landmarks in the game will also feel bigger and more realistic, such as castles, which are going to all be prominent historical landmarks and are going to be Shadows' centerpiece dungeons. It's a map that is supposedly going to feel bustling and lively, what with the dynamic seasons and weather changes that we have already discussed on the channel, the NPCs being very busy doing their life cycles as we've seen in previous games, and as we mentioned in our previous videos, the game will feature the local fauna, dogs included of course, and puppies too apparently, but in an interview with CBR, producer Caronne also confirmed that players won't be able to kill any animal in the game, as it's going to be quote-unquote part of the sort of balance between war and violence, but also the zen that's part of Japanese culture, the tranquility to come and just contemplate beauty. It's also going to be a map whose locations or regions are differentiated by a specific expected or presumed level, as it's been the case for many of the previous Assassin's Creed RPG games, with associate game director Simon Lemécontois telling Sports Illustrated and Game Rant that the player will need to level up in order to explore the various areas of the map, and even to fight some specific enemies that are going to be at way higher levels than them, including some endgame content for which players will have to progress in the game in order to be able to tackle that part and area. Shadows will be set during a time of flourishing urbanization, trade, and warfare, and this, according to Ubisoft, allows for a wide range of locations, including towns, trading posts, farmland, mountains, forests, and colossal castles, as we mentioned before. And speaking of castles, according to an interview by PCGames.de with game director Charles Benoit, Shadows will feature 30 castle towns and around 40 temples and shrines that players can visit in Japan. So knowing that, and considering that throughout these last few weeks there have been multiple name drops or hints at actual locations being in the game, we have decided to try and chart all of them in a map so we can already have an idea of what we can find and see in Shadows. So let's start from the map that we know from the collector's edition of the game. As we mentioned, Shadows' map will only cover the Kansai region of Japan, and more specifically, it will comprise 9 regions or provinces: Wakasa, Tamba, Yamashiro, Omi, defined as the agricultural breadbasket province of the region, Harima, defined as the location of a major battle, which might or might not be the siege of Miki Castle in 1578 to 1580, then Setsu, Iga, our home of the shinobi that will host the battle that we have seen in the CGI trailer, then Yamato and Kii. Now, we have mentioned that 37 locations in the map of Assassin's Creed Shadows have been revealed one way or another, and we decided to categorize them and place them over the official map. As you can see, the map itself is already showing some locations whose names and related drawings have been obscured or are too difficult to see and read, but it is worth noting that a different version of the same map was issued with the mystery box that was sent a few months ago to several creators, including us at Access the Animus. Moreover, very recently, a clearer version of the map was also displayed at Gamescom 2024 and was photographed by user Tommy Freaky, so we could glean even more locations in there. So we put all of that together to generate our list and its categories. So our first category is that of the main cities that are going to be featured in the game, which are going to be 3 if we got that correctly. They are going to be Kyoto in the Yamashiro region, Osaka in the Setsu region, and Nagoya, over which I have a few doubts that I'll mention later. Well, Kyoto is the longest running capital of Japan, it's located in Yamashiro and is the capital even at the time that Shadows is set in. It is one of the, if not the richest city of Japan in terms of history, and we have seen it portrayed in 2 pieces of concept art which showed us the city during winter and autumn. Osaka will be another major city in the game. It will be located in Setsu, and for a time before Kyoto, it was a capital of Japan too. In our previous videos we did mention that this could be Osaka's version in Shadows, but it's not confirmed yet. The third main city in the game, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be Nagoya, as reported by Jeux Vidéo in the physical version of their magazine after their visit to Ubisoft Quebec earlier this year, but I wonder if that is still the case, if Nagoya is actually going to be in the game, because looking at the map presented in the collector's edition, Nagoya would be further in the east, beyond the map's boundaries, so I wonder if Jeux Vidéo got it wrong, or if that chunk of the map got cut and will be reused on the future, or if the city is just going to be moved next to the boundary and will still be there in the main release of the game. It wouldn't be the first time after all. Next we have castle locations, of which we currently know 5-ish, maybe 6. They are Azuchi Castle in the Omi province, built on the eastern shore of Lake Biwa and atop Mount Azuchi, which I'd imagine will be in the game too, and this castle was one of Oda Nobunaga's primary castles, so we can expect some of the main events of the game potentially happening in there. Next we have Himeji Castle in Harima, one of the most visited castles in Japan, which during Shadows' time period was remodeled by Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Then we have Takeda Castle in the Tamba province, which was another conquest by Toyotomi Hideyoshi and which was portrayed both in the CGI trailer and in a recent concept, which looks so reminiscent in terms of visual and environment of what remains of the actual castle in Japan. Next we have Osaka Castle, whose construction was started in 1583 by Toyotomi Hideyoshi and which was intended to become the center of a new and unified Japan, under Toyotomi of course. Then we have what I believe to be called Hirada Fort or Hitada Fort, which is not a castle per se, and I'm not too sure if this is an actual location. Maybe I read it wrong, maybe it's not a historical location, although every other location in the map is, so maybe you guys can help me with that. And finally, we have Fukuchiyama Castle, located supposedly in Tamba, which is the castle that we have seen in the gameplay trailer for the game that both Naoi and Yasuke could infiltrate to take down one of their targets. Before we move on with more locations and information about the map of Assassin's Creed Shadows, I just wanted to stop for a bit and thank our Access the Animus insiders and initiates for their support every month. You guys are amazing and we can't thank you enough for your help, which is always helping us create more and better content. And if you haven't joined us yet and you'd like to become a member on the channel and gain access to a number of exclusive perks, including early access to special content such as exclusive reports and interviews or Q&A on events that we have participated in or content that we have tested, which we manage through a dedicated channel on our Discord server, you can do that by clicking the join button underneath this video. So we discussed the castles that we currently know will be featured in Shadows, and most castles in the game will be tied to the assassination missions and oftentimes will be part of an urban area. So our next category is that of villages and countryside urban areas. Here we can mention 9 locations, and I think the first one is possibly the most interesting one at this point, and it is the Mibuno town or area in the Iga province. In fact, historically, Mibuno was a village with a castle that was attacked during the Second Tensho Iga War by the invading troops of Oda Nobunaga in October of 1581, which, you might have guessed, is exactly the setting of part of the CGI trailer and the prologue of Shadows, which means Mibuno could be the name of Naoe's village where the game is going to start and where she is supposedly going to meet Yasuke. Even the drawing on the map is similar to the shot from the CGI trailer and its concept art. Historically, the village was abandoned after being captured by the Oda forces, so I wonder if this is also where we are going to build our hideout after the village is burned to the ground. Next up we have Yoshino, a village in the Yamato province, which is currently mostly known for a mountain nearby of the same name, and especially because it's a spring destination with so many cherry trees surrounding the area, which I wonder if they're going to be replicated in the game. Next we have Sakai, a port town located in Setsu, just south of Osaka, which was a hub of commerce for the Portuguese and was oftentimes visited by Jesuit monks. According to creative director Jonathan Dumont, it's the town portrayed in the CGI trailer, meaning it could also be the city where Yasuke first lands in Japan, as he is brought there by the Jesuit monks. We also have Sumodo, which is a city or village located on the Awaji Island in front of Osaka, which, from the map, it doesn't seem to be a playable area, but it does look like this concept art is indeed portraying the village under heavy snow, so we'll see about that. Next we have Katsuragi, located in the Yamato province, or I think it's Katsuragi, judging from Tommy Freaky's photo. This is a small town next to Osaka and Nara that is located next to a mount of the same name. Mount Katsuragi, by the way, is also a renowned location, as in May hundreds of azalea shrubs bloom with pink to crimson colors, which is also what I think we are seeing here in this concept. Another town that will supposedly appear in Shadows is Nishinomiya, located in western Setsu and west of Osaka. At the time the game is set, the city was famed for its production of sake, and of course the region around it was dotted with multiple temples and shrines. Next is Ujitawara, located in eastern Yamashiro, southeast of Kyoto. Ujitawara is a town that is considered to be the birthplace of Japanese green tea and the place where Japanese tea was revolutionized, so I guess we can expect some green sceneries around here, maybe a quest or two about tea? Then we have the city of Tsurga, and its fort or port? I can't really say from the picture. I'm gonna go with port. Tsurga Port in northern Wakasa has been a trade gateway between Japan and the Asian continent since the Nara era. Then again, Tsurga City also had a castle named Kanegasaki Castle, where a few years before the events of the game, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, then known as Kinoshita Hideyoshi, fought a celebrated action to allow Oda Nobunaga to escape defeat from a failed attack, so we'll see which part of the town is portrayed here. And the final town that we know of, we mentioned its castle already, is Fukuchiyama, located supposedly in Tamba. This is the town that was shown in the gameplay walkthrough for the game. It's a countryside town whose rulers are corrupted, but that will be taken care of by our two main heroes, and interestingly enough, the city came under control of Oda's vassal, Akechi Mitsuhide. We can see his banners when Yasuke enters the town, and Akechi is likely to become an important character in the game, as historically it's him who eventually betrayed Nobunaga and caused his death in the notorious Honnoji incident. We then have temples, and like I said, there's going to be around 40 temples and shrines in the game, though currently we know of 5 major ones. The first one is Kinkakuji, a Zen Buddhist temple located north of Kyoto in the Yamashiro province, with its name translated to Temple of the Golden Pavilion. This is one of the most popular attractions around Kyoto, and we have already seen this temple portrayed in a few occasions, both to show the dynamic lighting system and the weather and season systems. Another temple that was mentioned in the concept art shown by the Art for Fans website is the Kumano Hongo Taisha, which is a Shinto shrine located in the mountains of the southeast Kii Peninsula of Japan and is included within one of the many World Heritage Sites in Japan. Another very important temple that we know of is the Todaiji, located in Yamato, and more specifically in the city of Nara. It's an ancient temple dating back to 738 AD. Here's a model of how it looked at the time of its foundation, and it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site as one of the historical monuments of ancient Nara. Because of the Todaiji, I think we can also expect Nara, the city where it is located, to be in the game, and I wouldn't want it otherwise, as it is a historic city that also was the capital of Japan for a time from 710 to 794 AD, and it's the home to many ancient temples and shrines that are still here to this day. Nara is also quite famous for being a town where Japanese deers are roaming free along with people, especially in Nara Park, as they have been regarded as heavenly animals protecting the city and the country. This is also a tradition that has been kept to this day. Sari and I have seen this directly, it's beautiful, and I really hope a version of this is in the game. There are two more temples or shrines that we believe are going to be in the game, but we're going to discuss them later. So next up, we have another category, that is man-made landmarks, and we have 4 of those. The first one is the Koyasan Ukonoin Cemetery, located in the Kii province. This is the biggest and most ancient graveyard in Japan, and was shown already in a few frames of the various traders. The cemetery is located on Mount Koya, which means we can definitely expect Mount Koya in the game too. Another location shown in the secret box map is the Seta Bridge in the Omi province, one of the so-called 3 famous bridges of Japan that was considered an important strategic position for transportation and military movements towards Kyoto, and was originally designed by Oda Nobunaga himself. Next, in the Tamba province, we have the Kuno mine, which is a silver mine that has been in operation since 807 AD up until 1973, and whose large-scale exploitation started in the 1500s, so I wonder what we might find in there. And finally, one of the locations that piqued my curiosity the most is the Daizenryo Kofun in Setsu, right south of Osaka. So the Daizenryo Kofun is the largest Japanese ancient burial mound. That's what Kofun means basically. Kofuns are megalithic tombs or tumuli that were constructed between the 3rd and the 7th century AD, so much more ancient than the time that we'll play as Naoi or Yasuke. More specifically, the Daizenryo Kofun is believed to have been built in the mid-5th century, and it is commonly accepted that the tomb was built for the late Emperor Nintoku. So I can definitely expect some classic Assassin's Creed tomb-related gameplay in here, maybe some First Civ stuff too. There are more than 20,000 Kofuns across the entirety of Japan, so I also expect to see more tombs and caves across Japan, which could definitely hide some hidden treasure and lore. And lastly, our final category is that of the natural landmarks that we already know are going to be in shadows. The first one we know of is the Sotomo Arch, located in North Wakasa. Sotomo is a 6-kilometer stretch of coastline lined with peculiar rock formation and sharp cliffs, and more specifically, Sotomo Arch is a famous rock formation located in the so-called Wakasa Bay. Wakasa Bay itself would also be a noteworthy location, as it is mentioned to be a pirate bay in this concept, which also seems to showcase the Sotomo Arch, so we can definitely expect all sorts of dirty trades in there. Close to the Sotomo Arch, still in Wakasa, we have the Mikata 5 Lakes, which are a peculiar series of lakes of different shades of the color blue, and with different aquatic creatures that are recognized as an important wetland in the country. Then we have Lake Biwa, reported by Jeux Video magazine to occupy a chunk of the map, and indeed it does, and as we mentioned, on its eastern shores we'll be able to find Azuchi Castle. Lake Biwa is the largest freshwater lake in Japan, and it is reported to be so ancient to be over 4 million years old. Next we have two more natural locations whose names we could glean from the name of artworks portraying them. The first one is the Nachi Waterfall, or as it is called in the concept, Nachi Falls, which is located in Kii, and it is Japan's tallest waterfall with a drop of 133 meters. The concept is portraying the Seigantoji temple located close to the waterfall, which we have also seen in trailers, while this other concept is also showing the Kumano Nachi Taisha, or shrine, located in front of Seigantoji and the Nachi waterfall. For the next natural location, we are moving to Nagano Pass in the Iga province. Now, I wasn't able to find much about the pass itself, but the location is indeed famous because during the first Tensho Iga War in 1579, the Igan soldiers and shinobis ambushed the invading troops led by Oda Nobukatsu, Nobunaga's second son, causing them to retreat, take heavy losses, and essentially losing the war. Remember, that was the first Tensho Iga War, where the Igan troops kept their independency, while the second Tensho Iga War, taking place in 1581, saw the invasion of Iga by troops led by Oda Nobunaga himself and his eventual victory, and it is that invasion that will act as the background for the prologue of Assassin's Creed Shadows and Naoi's and Yasuke's stories. Still, Nagano Pass will be in the game, so I wonder if there are also going to be any references to the first Tensho Iga War in the game as well. And finally, our last natural location is another waterfall, or rather, many waterfalls. They are the Akame 48 waterfalls, and more specifically, the Akame Shi waterfall. These are falls located in the Iga province, and more specifically in the Akame Valley, in the land where historical ninja honed their skills of stealth and combat, and indeed that's what we're seeing in the concept art. So these are going to likely be the training grounds for Naoi that we're going to visit at the start of the game. So that should be it for the 37 locations that we found and that we now know are going to be in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Do you think we have missed any that has been revealed through official information? Do you think that some of these locations are actually going to be cut from the game following the recently announced delay? Please do let us know. Also, many of these are locations where I look forward to test the stealth systems and tools of the game, what with the light and dark systems, the stealth tools, the different types of assassinations, all of which are topics that we discussed in our most recent video. Thanks for watching, a huge shout out to Master Sima Yi for the help in researching some of the locations in the video, and I'll see you all in our next video.